This video is sponsored by Mike Masemola, who runs a company called Tact. They do security and their website is www.tact24.com. Going to put the website link at the bottom. They do security for businesses. So if you have a business and you'd like security personnel, if you're maybe like a celebrity and you're going to an event somewhere, they do personal security. If there are any corporate interests, or for some of those people that have very valuable things that they need to transfer or transmit, cargo in transit, basically, they do security for that as well. Tact24.com. It is a proactive security company that's going to be a leader for the next generation. And I'd like to thank Mike Masemola for sponsoring my video. As I took a walk this morning, I started thinking about politics. I started thinking about transformation, empowerment. I started thinking about meritocracy. Meritocracy is this really cool term about putting people in positions based on their qualifications, abilities, and track record. You've got democracy, which is what we have. You've got autocracy. It's like a dictatorship. And then you've got meritocracy. We had a very interesting interview yesterday with DJ Spoo for the Hustlers Corner and the Virtual Nkuku. Guys are probably going to see it in like a couple of weeks. But I found myself thinking of this concept of employment equity. Employment equity is a BEE, Black Economic Empowerment pillar. For people that don't know, because a lot of people think BEE is shares to politicians and they think BEE is tenders. I think BEE has got something like 7 pillars. And some of those pillars are tenders. It's called preferential procurement. It means giving business from government or from a listed company to Black suppliers or previously disadvantaged suppliers. Could be women as well. There's something called socio-economic development, which has to do with uplifting the townships and other places that were disadvantaged and discriminated by apartheid, etc. There's obviously ownership, that's shares. There's employment equity. Before we go into the others, employment equity, affirmative action, it's this concept that people that weren't given jobs in a space now get jobs. Black people, women, people that are disabled, the youth, etc. Otaki, by and large, in the world today, seem to want to beg big white businesses for jobs. And if you look at the history of this country, it kind of makes sense. Black people were largely discriminated and kept out of the mainstream economy. So when we got democracy, we got a right to vote, all of a sudden we were like, look, let's try and get these white companies to bring people in. One of the interviews that's going to come out from the panel show is going to be an interview where we speak about men. And the guest that came on said something along the lines of, he believes that you cannot be a man until you can provide. And obviously I was like, dog, if you look at our economy in this country and if you look at how the money system is biased, men don't have jobs, they don't have money. So are you saying I can't be a man just because I don't have money, I don't have a job, I don't have a business? And he said, yes. And he said there's a chance that we keep looking at problems from the wrong angle. And that's why we're not finding solutions. We're looking at the problem from men must get jobs and we must help uplift men. And he was like, if we said the problem is you cannot be, or if we define that you cannot be a man until you can provide, men themselves would get up and then go and find a way to provide because they would be like, I'm still a boy. And he feels like automatically we would solve so many problems just in redefining our angle and how we want to solve it. And I've thought the same, that if we were to switch off government, if we were to scrap social grants, for a while, of course, people would be angry, people would be frustrated, etc. But it would force citizens to be like, but if the government is not around, if we no longer have a government, that means we need to solve these problems. And that would then throw it on us. And that's what I think the mentality of some of the people in Orania, some of the people that believe in self-sustenance and doing for self, I am tired of giving my thinking and having these expectations of government. Why can't I do it myself? So with employment equity, I was just thinking, if Black people or if white companies, previously white companies, were not forced to hire black people or women, these black people and these women would have no choice but to build their own companies. And I think that would be a game changer. I'm not suggesting it. I understand that the economy is biased. I understand that even banking and some of the people that are in these institutions, if they didn't exist, or if they weren't allowing black people in, it would make it difficult. Part of the walk that I had was this thought of the Springboks. And I've made this comment before where I'm like, if the Springboks can be world champions in rugby, why can we not build a world championship economy? And again, you think of democracy, meritocracy, etc. One of the mistakes we've made in this country is we have almost always focused on an equality of outcomes or output. What does that mean? It means we look at an industry and we say there are too many men, we need to have more women. In parliament, we need 50% women representation. Equality of income, outcomes. But we almost never focus on the equality of inputs. Look at the Springboks again. With the Springboks, we set up this quota system. There need to be black people in the Springboks that reflect the demographics of the country. And on paper and in theory, it sounds correct. If 80% of the country is black, 80% of the Springboks should be black. But the reality is that, number one, there aren't a lot of black people that play rugby. Number two, what if those black people are not good enough? Could we, with an 80% black Springbok team, become world champs? Then people are like, well, the only way black people get better is if we set quotas and we force them to pick black players. And part of the problem there, of course, is white Afrikaans racists from the apartheid era, even if the black boy was talented, would never pick him just because he is black. So you need those quotas so that the talented black kids can come in. My thing should be, if we focused at grassroots, at the bottom level, and we created a platform where black kids had the same facilities as the top rugby boys, had the same facilities, were playing as much rugby from a young age, had good coaches, then later on, you could be like, but these boys should be good enough. Springboks. Sia Kolisi got a chance, I think in grade 8. I stand to be corrected. I think in grade 8, he was given a bursary or scholarship at Grey High School in Port Elizabeth. Very good boys' school, very good government school, brilliant rugby school. So he was given a platform to get the right nutrition, the right coaching, the right facilities, so that by the time he gets to grade 12 to matric, it cannot be that the reason he's not playing first team is because he's at the wrong school. He's at the right school. He's got the right facilities, the right nutrition, so he can compete at that level. The next black kid from Ezwide, who doesn't have the right facilities, who doesn't have the right coaches, who doesn't have the right nutrition, definitely. And that speaks to an equality of input, which is where our focus should be. Same thing should happen to our economy. Having black faces on a board of directors, having black shareholders, it's not enough. You need to ensure that at the lowest level, kids are being taught about business, how to raise funding, how to build a company, how to trade, how to manage employees, how to manage customer relations and suppliers from a young age. So that by the time they get to matric, by the time they finish varsity, by the time they start working or starting their businesses, they have got the right type of skills. And then you create an environment where they have access to credit. They have access to, they can fight over and struggle with the same red tape that everyone else struggles with. The Springboks. Look, these are just thoughts I was having on my walk, so they may not be coherent. It's bits and pieces of what I was thinking. If we are going to say that the Springboks were white, male, racist, and they need to reflect the demographics of the country, the first step, which was pushed, still pushed in certain spaces today, was we need more black representation in the Springboks. And most people seem to agree. Yes, we need more black guys. Sia Kolisi, Lukhanyo Am, Magazole, Mapimpi. We had colored guys like Brian Abana, Ashwin Willemse, we had Chester Williams, etc., etc. And we're saying they must reflect the demographics. What happens when women say, why aren't women represented in the Springboks? We lose our marbles. No, but come on, it's a male sport and the woman, it's like, but the same way you said black men were kept out, you are keeping black women out. And then those women, or black women and women in general, those women will say, we want quotas. We want up to 50% of the Springboks must be women. And you'd be like, but that's not fair. And the women are weak. And then it'll be like, but are you guys creating a platform from 9 years old for young girls to compete on an equal footing with the boys? So they come high school, come matric, come varsity. The girls that are good enough can actually compete fairly for the Springboks. After you do that, the next argument becomes, what about the LGBTQI community? Are they represented in the Springboks? Are Muslims represented in the Springboks? I'm raising this because I'm almost bringing the other side. White Afrikaners, white males who might feel, but this is not fair. Why are we not picking the best people? And you say, we can't pick the best people because apartheid policy kept us out even if we were good enough. So then black males were brought in through quotas and we focused on equality of outcomes. And I'm saying we need to focus on equality of inputs. Because if you focus on equality of inputs, it doesn't matter what happens there at the top. Because if we focus on equality of outcomes and if we focus on the demographics, which is what we do with employment equity, which is what we do with the ownership of the economy, we are not going for the best people. We're just painting at the top and we're making it seem like it's good enough and it's not. And the women will come and say, we want representation in the Springboks. And the gays will come, we want representation in the Springboks. And then men will say, if you guys want representation here, we want representation in the national netball team. We want representation in preschools. Why are there so many women in preschools? No, but everyone knows that mothers. In a WhatsApp group yesterday, a story came out because a mother has been arrested for denying access to the father of the child. And a lot of people are celebrating and they sent it to me and they were like, Pen, you'll enjoy this. I don't enjoy it. I've been fighting for access for my son Uzulu for 9 years. I've gone in and out of courts. The mom has not shown up to court like a Jacob Zuma, contempt of court. There's never been a warrant of arrest. 2 times I engaged the police. They refused to act and arrest her and. My story is documented. If you search Zulu Khosi, K-G-O-S-I, Mlotshwa, on YouTube, you'll find 4 videos that document my story. I didn't celebrate that and I was angry that why should she have to be jailed? Why should a mother have to be jailed? Yes, she's violated the law. Yes, she's keeping the child away from the dad. Yes, in effect, it's a form of kidnapping of a child. But where are the families? Why are the families not intervening? Again, like saying, you can't be a man until you provide. So if you tell men that, men will be like, I can't be a real man until I can provide. So I need to learn how to provide. If we said that we will punish families where there is parental alienation and fathers are not seeing their children, and the family knew if my sister is not letting the father see the child, I will be punished. I believe that families will get more involved in their nieces and nephews and will hold their sisters and brothers accountable. If you know that you will get punished as a family because your brother is a deadbeat, they'll come and put a stop order on your salary. You will be in court as well. I believe we'll become more involved. So I was saying, I think families need to get involved. But in that conversation, one of the men said, but everyone knows that it's a fact that mothers are what's best for children. Children should live with their mothers. And I said, that's the worst argument in the world. Because this was the same patriarchal argument that men would use if to say, but everyone knows it's a fact that men are better political leaders. Everyone knows it's a fact that men are better engineers. Everyone knows it's a fact that men are better farmers. At which point have we created a platform of equality where women and girls from a young age get to be exposed to politics and leadership, get to be exposed to engineering, get to be exposed to farming, so that later on we can say it's fair. The schooling system in South Africa is fair, Boys and girls from grade 1 study the same material. By matric, if the girl is the smartest in the grade, it is not because of inequality of inputs. It's because she is better. Imagine, because this is what happens in the economy, this is what happens in politics, this is what happens in certain industries. 13-year-old boy, 13-year-old girl. They meant to be in grade 7 together. The 13-year-old girl, because girls are soft and they have their own problems. They sometimes have their period, and girls are maybe a bit slower. She should be in grade 7, but because she's a girl, let's make her do grade 5 work. And then the boy, because he's a boy and men are meant to lead and be great and provide, the boy must do grade 8 work. So grade 7, they both 13, the boy is doing grade 8, the girl is doing grade 5. When they both 18, then the boys are doing well academically and the girls, and then someone says, but where's the equality? And someone says, no, let's bump up some of these girls and put them at the same level. And it's like, but guys, this is never going to work. And the boys are going to point and be like, you see, the girl that you put there, look, she's flopping. There was never an equality of inputs. Springboks, that equality of inputs. Men, fathers can never prove that they are as capable as moms until you've given them a chance. I hear a lot of women saying, yeah, but he doesn't really know how to be he doesn't know how to be a good parent. I'm the better parent. I'm like, has he been given a fair chance? Did he spend as much time waking up at night, changing nappies, pushing to nurture? Then we can compare. But if you as a girl have had 80% of the contact time with your child and he's only gotten 20%, it's only going to hold that you're the better parent because you've had more experience, more practice being a parent. That's why I tell girls today, women today, that they say, yeah, but if I leave the child with him, he doesn't know what to do. You didn't know what to do until you learned. He will learn. When the child is visiting their father, leave the child alone. Let dad go and buy the nappies. Let him go buy the formula. Let him take the child to the pediatrician. Let him learn the sizes of the child. Let him learn how to parent the same way you learned. But if you mother him as well and you pack nappies and you pack the formula already pre-packed package, just put water and just shake them. If you already send, he will never learn. And 5-10 years later, when you compare, you will always be the better parent because there was no equality of inputs. Springboks. In America, black people, I think, are about 50 million. In a country with over 300 million people. 50 million. I don't know if it's just under 20% of the population. Black Americans are 20% of the population in America. Now, if you go on the demographics argument, no, but the national team should represent the demographics of the country racially. That means the NBA needs to be transformed. There are too many black people in the NBA. There are too many black people in the NFL. Because there should be 80% or maybe 60% white people, maybe 20% Hispanic, Latinos. But all of us are happy to say, no, but the NBA should be black because those are the best players. Why? Because everyone had an equality of inputs. All the white kids, all the Latino kids, all the black kids had an equal footing and equal access at the bottom. If anything, you might find that the white kids probably had better basketball facilities, had better nutrition, but the black kids rose through meritocracy. If we want to speak about meritocracy, it must be across the board and not where it suits our agenda. Both men, female, both white and black. Bafana is not transformed. We need more colored players. We need more white players to represent the demographics. Then the women come. But why are women not represented in Bafana? Why are gays not represented in Bafana? We need to fix things at the bottom. Those are just some of my thoughts. Employment equity, meritocracy. I find myself thinking in this country that a developing country, not a developed, a developing country. Who said this? Was it in an interview somewhere? It is unfair for South Africa to be a democratic nation because democracy requires the nation to have political literacy. Making a politically illiterate person vote is like giving a 3-year-old a loaded gun. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. We speak about democracy, we speak about one man, one vote in a country where the political party system almost squashes this democracy that we have, because the political parties then get to bully even the things we want. And someone has said that for a developing nation, we need autocracy. We need a father or a mother that makes decisions on our behalf, like children. In a democracy, there are too many stakeholders to appease, a lot of them who are politically illiterate. And it just got me thinking that even in our homes, we don't have democracy. Otherwise, we'd never get anything done. If your children have to vote, if you have to ask your uncles and your aunts, you'd never get anything done. Cyril Ramaphosa, that's constantly consulting and processes take forever. I think that was my parting thought for today. We call it dictatorship, which is a bad word, but do we need more leadership models where there's one person who gets to make the final say in the quickest time possible? Consult quickly, but then pull the trigger. But yeah, just sharing some of my thoughts for this day. For those that are going to watch, the Penwell Show comes out at 9 a.m. The Virtual Mkuku Hustlers Corner comes out at 12 p.m. today. Have a great day. Chat to you guys soon enough. Did you guys listen to the voice note of Louis Liebenberg? Maybe I'll speak about that at some point. Jeez Louise. Guy gave R500,000 to Jacob Zuma to take on the case of Karen, I think it's Karen Mohan and Billy Downer. Maybe I'll speak about the Jacob Zuma case as well. They talk about freedom of the press, and we're speaking about journalistic integrity and the integrity of the legal system, etc. We'll speak about that another time. Have a great day.